Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, the ancient Egyptian mythology. Religions are stories of old, told and retold through thousands of years. They're stories meant to be shared with your family and friends, but most importantly with your children. What are the common elements of the oldest stories known to man? And what are the lessons to be learned, if there are any? Professor of psychology Jordan Peterson says yes. Peterson believes that these stories contain within them some of the most profound answers to some of life's hardest questions. Growing up in the latter half of the 20th century, Peterson became obsessed. He wanted to know how so much hate, pain, and evil could thrive throughout the 20th century, and he wanted to know how we could make sure that it would never happen again. The two world wars, Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and the tensions of the Cold War, the 20th century was without a doubt a despicable century, filled with horror, hate, and agony. While trying to make sense of everything, Peterson turned to the texts of old. Thorough analysis of religious texts will lead to a shared set of themes on how to live well, the battle between good and evil, and much, much more. Combining the wisdom of our ancestors with his experience as a clinical psychologist, Jordan Peterson lands on his 12 rules for life. These 12 rules make up his best-selling book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. An Antidote to Chaos indeed. 12 Rules for Life serves as a guide to help you navigate through the dangerous chaos of life, while also not straying too far into the equally dangerous side of order. The truest path, according to Peterson, is one in which you balance on the line between order on one hand and chaos on the other, with one foot firmly planted on each side. Peterson draws attention to the fact that while chaos is dangerous, it is also full of potential. And while order seems safe, it's unsustainable and also devoid of any possibility of improvement. One cannot exist without the other, and from chaos, order will emerge, as symbolized by the white dot in the black center of the Taoist yin and yang symbol. As will order eventually give way to chaos, as symbolized by the black inside the white. Peterson makes no claim to have all the answers. Instead, he chooses to present us with the 12 rules that he believes are important, and with each chapter he thoroughly argues why those rules are important. Although his chapters are very comprehensive, they are hardly an easy read, though that might be excusable as he genuinely tries to answer some very difficult questions, like why the recipient of a kidney transplant would choose not to take their medicine despite the truly awful consequences. But the readability of his book isn't helped by his heavy reliance on symbolism in stories and religious texts. I'm not saying that as a criticism, but more as a warning to potential readers. Throughout the book, Peterson will continuously make reference and talk about the ancient stories of religion and what they mean. As someone who has never had an interest in religion, and was for a time strictly against religion of any kind, I found his train of thought incredibly hard to follow at times. Though through concentrated thought, I was eventually able to understand what he was telling me. So if you want to read this book, then it's critical that you do so with an open mind, with a willingness to see things a different way. If you then, even after reading and understanding Peterson's arguments, do not agree with him, then that's also fine. As mentioned, Peterson makes no claim to have all the answers. But I truly believe that everyone will be able to find at least a few nuggets of wisdom within this book. As I am recording this, I'm in the process of reading through 12 Rules for Life for the 4th or 5th time, though this is the first time I'm reading through the physical copy rather than the audiobook. I first came across Peterson and his book about 2 years ago. At the time I had dropped out of university and I was trying to make sense of my life. Where was I? Where had I been, and where did I want to go? Going through the book the first time, it struck such a chord with me that I immediately went through it a second time. I felt that it was speaking to me in a sense and truly helping me, but I also felt that a lot of what had been said had gone right over my head. Going through the book the second time, I got a much better sense of what Peterson's beliefs and philosophies are. Although I found the book profound, it did not provide me with all the answers, and I still spent much of that year questioning where my life was headed. But at the same time, it opened my mind to a new way of looking at things, and although I am hardly a religious person, I am much more accepting of it than I once was. As Peterson might argue, the wisdom of our Father, in this case religion, might be outdated and old, but we cannot throw it away all the same, because that would be foolish. Instead, we must incorporate it into our own experience. We must keep what is useful while putting aside what's no longer needed. To conclude this review, 12 Rules for Life is a difficult read about difficult topics. And it might not say anything that's revolutionary, but it does serve as an important reminder for some important rules, some of which have been forgotten amid the busy chaos of modern life. If you're willing to read the book with an open mind and to possibly see things a different way, then 12 Rules for Life might have something important to teach you. And I would encourage everyone to willingly read this book at least once in their lives.